Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and this is the hardware review of the Motorola Droid 2 on Verizon. Let's get to it. Okay, so before getting into the characteristics of the device, let's talk about the specifications. It's running with a 1 GHz Texas Instruments OMAP processor compared to a 550 MHz processor found on the Droid 1, so you're getting about double the clock speed there. You're also getting double the RAM, so on the Droid 2 you have 512 megabytes of RAM compared to 256 megabytes on the original Droid. Inside, in terms of storage space, you get 8 gigabytes, and you also get an 8 gigabyte micro SD card, although you can of course expand that to 32 gigabytes, so a lot of storage on the Droid 2, which is quite nice. You have 802.11n, assisted GPS, the camera is 5 megapixels with dual LED flash, although oddly it doesn't do HD video. It can only do 720 by 480, which is technically 480p. So let's take a look at the hardware on the Droid 2. First, you may be noticing a green blinking light, so you do get that green notification light that lets you know when you have new emails. Very handy. The screen is the same size as the original Droid, 3.7 inches, and the resolution is 854 down by 480 across. So that's the highest resolution that Android can support. And if you put this device next to the Droid X, which also has the same resolution, but a much larger screen, the screen on the Droid 2 looks a lot crisper because the pixels are smaller. You're packing the same number of pixels inside of a smaller area, 3.7 inches compared to 4.3. In other words, the screen on the Droid 2 looks really, really good, really sharp. Up here we have a proximity sensor, a light sensor, no front-facing camera, and of course the speaker. Down here we have the standard Android buttons surrounded by this nice kind of dark silvery chrome that goes all around the screen. It's really attractive. And if you turn the device over, you'll notice that it's actually a dark blue. It probably looks black on the camera, but the blue extends on the sides and on the back. If blue is not your color, then you're out of luck. It looks nice to see on a device because a lot of devices now are either black, gray, or silver, and not blue. So that is a pretty cool feature. Let's go around the side here. We have a micro USB port with a charging indicator. On the bottom is the microphone. On the side is the dual action camera button, so you can actually hold the phone like a real camera. Then we have the volume up and down rocker. And then we have the standby button and 3.5mm headphone jack. Now the camera, as mentioned, does not take HD video, oddly, but it does take photos at 5 megapixels, has a dual flash here to illuminate dark subjects. And let's flip up the battery, see what we have under there. So kind of push down and slide. And here we have the battery next to the 8 gigabyte micro SD card, although you have to take out the battery to access the card, which is a little bit annoying, but most people probably don't change their micro SD card too often. Okay, I'm going to pop that back, and let's talk about the keyboard. Okay, let's talk about the keyboard, because if you're interested in the Droid 2, you probably care a lot about the hardware keyboard, or else you would have been looking at the Droid Incredible or the Droid X, which of course don't have the slide-out keyboard. So let's slide out the keyboard, and what you'll notice is that it's not spring-assisted like the original Droid, so you can pause it in the middle, or you can sort of give it a little bit more effort and it will open all the way. Not too big of a deal, although a lot of keyboards from the Windows mobile side are spring-assisted, like on the HTC Touch Pro 2, so it's very handy to have. Anyway, mine are great. Let's get to the keyboard. Now what you'll notice about the Droid 2 compared to the Droid 1 is that the entire screen, the entire facade of the device moves when you slide open the keyboard compared to the original Droid, which left a little element, a little part where it said Verizon down here, so it kind of had a sidekick-like look, you know, the T-Mobile Sidekick devices. But this is a new design, and it's a little cleaner and more simple. And what we have here is a wider keyboard because they took away this D-pad to the right, which makes a lot of sense. You really don't need to occupy so much room for the D-pad. So instead, now we have a 4-way arrow key here, which you can use for the same functions. You can use it to move the cursor around on the screen, or to scroll, or what have you. Now, because the D-pad has been removed, the keyboard is wider, the keys are larger. So those with large hands, or medium-sized hands, will really appreciate the larger key style. Also different about the keyboard is that the layout of the keys aren't in a grid. Now they're offset in a more natural way, not as natural and ergonomic as the Touch Pro 2, but definitely an improvement. And the keyboard feels pretty good, especially with some practice. If you like a clicky keyboard, the Droid 2 is not for you because the keyboard, if you you can hear that, doesn't make that much noise when you type. It's kind of a little bit numb feeling, but it also won't bother people around you when you're typing out a text message. So if you look closely, you can see that the keys are slightly raised, not too much though. The numbers take place in the upper row here instead of embedded within the letters, which can be annoying. So of course, if you want to access one, you hold down Alt and you press a number. We have a quick shortcut to the voice command feature. And that's really all you get on the keyboard. It's a very simple keyboard without any keyboard shortcuts or things like that, which may be a good thing for you. Now, what's great about the Droid X and the original Droid is that it's well balanced and it has a good amount of weight, so that when I'm typing, I'm resting my fingers here behind the screen, and it just feels good. It feels like a messaging device. And actually, let's turn over to the back here. Unfortunately, this area back here, if you touch it enough, it's going to pick up a lot of fingerprints. They used a very, very glossy plastic behind the screen, which is kind of silly, but not that big of a deal. So that's the keyboard. Definitely an improvement over the original Droid, and it will appease those who like to have a hardware keyboard on their smartphone. So if you were a fan of the original Droid and you like the way the hardware looked and how the hardware felt, you're really going to like the Droid 2 because it builds on what made the original Droid great. Again, if you want something sleek, slimmer, the Droid Incredible and the Droid X are probably better solutions for you. Coming up soon, we're going to talk about the software on the Droid 2, see how fast it is with Froyo and the faster processor and more RAM. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and thanks for watching. That's it for now.